Risky behaviors. Risky behaviors are actions that may result in negative consequences. Today we will be talking about sexual behaviors, substance abuse, and crime. It is common for adolescents to engage in sexual behaviors. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention did a study on U.S. high school students in 2011. 47.4% of the students surveyed said they had previously had sexual intercourse at some point in time. 33.7% said they had sexual intercourse within 3 months prior to taking the survey. Of that 33.7%, 39.8% did not use a condom, and 76.7% did not use birth control pills. From those statistics, you can see that almost half of the students surveyed had engaged in sexual behaviors. You can also see that a large portion did not use birth control or condoms. This information shows you that many adolescents don't engage in safe sex practices, but instead engage in risky sexual behaviors. Participating in risky sexual behaviors puts adolescents at high risk for not only unintended pregnancy, but also sexually transmitted infections. Adolescents aged 15 to 24 acquire nearly half of all 20 million new STI cases each year. Sexually active adolescents acquire STIs at a higher rate than older adults. There are various reasons as to why this occurs. Some young adults may be more susceptible to certain STIs. There may also be barriers to acquiring STI prevention, such as a lack of transportation, a sense of uncomfortableness in facilities that provide prevention, as well as concerns about confidentiality. Peers and media also influence sexual behaviors. This, combined with the lack of sex education, can increase an adolescent's risk of acquiring an STI. Last but not least is a low social economic status, which can affect acquiring an STI. Adolescence and pregnancy. In 2011, a total of about 330,000 babies were born to women ages 15 to 19. In other words, 3 in 10 girls will be pregnant before they turn 20. This seems like a large number, and it is, but it has been declining. Adolescent pregnancy in the United States is down 42% since the 1990s. Unfortunately, the U.S. still has the highest rate in the industrialized world, according to ncsl.org. There are numerous economic and social issues that increase adolescent unintended pregnancy. Poverty or low social economic status can make obtaining contraceptives difficult. Adolescents in and or transferring out of foster care, adolescents whose mother had a child during her teenage years and or only obtained a high school education. On the other hand, living with both biological parents can decrease an adolescent's likelihood of having or fathering a baby. Adolescents who live in wealthier neighborhoods or have a high social economic status are less likely to have an unintended pregnancy. And adolescents actively engaged in school activities are also less likely to have or father a baby.
Crime and delinquency are among the risky behaviors adolescents engage in. Specifically, when minors engage in crime, it's called juvenile delinquency. Adolescents engage in serious offenses, minor offenses, and specifically related to minors, status offenses, such as running away, violating curfew, disobeying parents, and underage drinking. Why do teens engage in delinquency? Adolescent brains are still forming. They're a work in progress. During our teen years, our brains are hard at work trying to strengthen areas that are responsible for us becoming productive members of our society. For instance, the frontal areas of our brain, which are in part responsible for setting goals and weighing different agendas, are in a way under construction. During this time, adolescents' brains are kind of clumsy. They're not very good at balancing impulse, goals, rules, even altruism. During adolescence, there is an increase of dopamine, a neurotransmitter central in creating our drive for reward. The increase of dopamine causes teens to gravitate toward thrilling experiences and exhilarating sensations. If you ask a teenage girl caught shoplifting or a teenage boy pulled over for drag racing and ask them why they did it, they might respond that it was just for fun. Many parents by this time like to have their children engaged in sports, music lessons, or other positive activities to point that energy elsewhere. In this particular stage of human development, teenagers may be aware of their actions, but weigh the risks and rewards differently. Adolescents value reward more heavily than adults do. Teens also prefer the company of those their own age more than ever before and after. Like dopamine, the teen brain is similarly attuned to oxytocin, another neurohormone, which makes social connections in particular more rewarding.
Mrs. Vernon Williams, you were born in square and you're gonna die square. You're coming with me.
Yeah, stand back, look at the renegade teens. Friends of the devil, twice as mean. We're looking for kicks, we want 'em now. We're gonna get 'em and we don't care how.
Come on, a big fight. We wish you would. We love being bad. That's a sure feels good. Stop us and go, get go! I do the hell pass. Come on, what are you doing? We wish you would. We love being bad.
Cause it feels so good.
Who is delinquent? When it comes to social class, researchers found it had little to do with minor delinquency and status offenses, but lower class teens have a higher average of serious delinquency. When it comes to race and ethnicity, there is limited data on various ethnicities' rates and delinquency. African Americans, however, are overestimated in police data for serious crimes, although they are more likely than whites to engage in it. Asian Americans have the lowest rates of offending, followed by whites, Latinos, and African Americans, with Native Americans having the highest offending rates. Crime rates are highest for mid to late adolescents, with the peaking age at 17. There's not really a difference with gender in minor crimes. There is a greater portion of males arrested for serious crimes and a greater portion of females arrested pertaining to larceny, theft, most often shoplifting, and status offenses. According to the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, in 2011, law enforcement arrested approximately 1.5 million juveniles. 29% were females, 71% were males. 26% of those were under the age of 15. The arrest rate for 2011 was 31% less than the number of arrests in 2002. Similar numbers across the country and other areas of delinquency data also lead researchers to believe the delinquency of juveniles is declining. A major deterrent of juvenile delinquency is a strong and healthy bond between the parents and adolescents. The closer the teenager and parent are, the less likely of the child engaging in delinquent behavior.
Some people are able to use recreational or prescription drugs without experiencing negative effects or addiction. For others, it can cause problems at work, home, school, and in relationships and leave them feeling alone and helpless. Vulnerability to addiction differs from person to person. Mental health, family, and social environment all play a role. Repeated use of substances can alter the way the brain looks and functions. Taking recreational drugs causes surge in levels of dopamine in the brain which trigger feelings of pleasure and want them repeated. The substance takes on the same significance as other survival behaviors, such as eating or drinking. Changes in the brain can interfere with the ability to think clearly, exercise good judgment, control behavior, and feel normal without drugs. No matter what the addiction, the craving becomes uncontrollable and grows more important than family, friends, their health and happiness, and anything else. The drug fulfills a valuable need. They may find themselves increasingly relying on it. Experimenting with drugs doesn't automatically lead to drug abuse. Early use is a risk factor for developing more serious drug use and addiction. Risk of drug abuse also increases greatly during times of transition, such as changing schools, moving, or divorce. The challenge for parents is to distinguish between normal, often tense ups and downs of the teen years and the red flags of substance abuse. Discovering your child uses drugs can render fear, confusion, and anger in parents. It's important to remain calm while confronting your teen and explain your concerns from a place of love. It is also important that your teen feels supported.